My name is Christophe Brown, and today I'm going to be showcasing you my homemade air conditioning unit, or as I like to call for short, the SPAC. The purpose behind this project is actually for a sociology class that I'm taking right now. We have an assignment in which we are to assume that, say, tomorrow the entire university is to go without electric power. We still have plumbing and gas, however, there is no use of electricity whatsoever, which means no charging cell phones, no lights, no fossil fuels, which means no cars to get you anywhere. So what we have to do in this essentially post-apocalyptic society is develop a tool to help us cope with no electricity on campus at all. So while I stand outside here at this 90-degree weather, it's not hard to think about, without electricity, we also have no types of ceiling fans or air conditioning units. And I'm not one person who's very fond of hot weather, so easy enough, think of something that can cool me down. Thus, bringing us to the SPAC. The SPAC, or solar powered air conditioning unit, actually uses a lot of materials that can typically be found laying around your house. For example, these two fans right here are gutted from an old PC unit that I had laying around. This switch, while probably most people wouldn't have, was purchased at a hardware store for under $5. The solar panel here was taken from Amazon, and aside from that, we have an ice pack floating in some water right now, which most people would typically have, as well as a container that was purchased from Walmart. Now, this project was actually inspired from a YouTube video by a channel named Household Hacker, in which you can create an air conditioning unit. However, in that video, the air conditioning unit was powered by USB or 9-volt battery. Given this assignment and the scenario, batteries do not exist. You cannot use any kind of battery whatsoever, meaning that there must be some sort of alternative power source. Without batteries, essentially the only thing that could power this would be a solar panel. Now, there's enough lighting out here, so demonstrating this won't be too hard, but let's go ahead and break this down and see how it works. As mentioned before, there are two fans on the unit. The smaller fan allows airflow into the unit so the air can run off of the water, which should be cold, and come out of the larger fan, which will be blowing air into your face. The fans are connected to this switch here, which has 3 prongs. First prong is power in, second prong is power out, and the third prong is a ground pin. If you know anything about electric circuits, you must have a complete circuit, which includes power and grounding for a fully functional circuit. The fans connect to the switch through the power out prong. The power in prong connects directly to the solar panel, which uses these wires here. So the sunlight will hit this panel directly, generating electricity, which goes into the power in part of the switch. Put the switch on. Power travels through the power in switch into the power out switch, which connects to the fans, which route back to the grounding cable of the grounding prong of the switch, which then runs to the grounding part of the solar panel itself. That's the outside. I'm going to turn this off now. That's the outside of the unit. On the inside of the unit, even simpler, we have simple ice pack, basic ice pack that you've probably seen before, surrounded by water, and all of it is enclosed in a nice little plastic box that you can find at Walmart for under $5. Now, given the conceptual idea of this product, the idea is that since most of the materials are relatively lightweight, mostly plastic, it's not a problem to take with you wherever you gotta go. So in this post-apocalyptic society, we don't have fossil fuels and we don't have air conditioning or cooling or fan systems and whatnot. So this means for my education to adequately continue, I have to walk to class everywhere I go. It is very hot outside. I don't like walking outside when it's very hot. So the good thing is I can take this with me, and if I have to walk a mile to class, keep this in direct sunlight, have it blowing air on my face, keep me cool until I get to where I need to go. However, in its current state, this isn't some kind of marketable product. For example, all the wires here are not protected whatsoever. If the water down here splashes upward at all, it's done. You don't have a product anymore. You can't keep yourself cool anymore. So there are a couple modifications that you could make to make this a more viable product. Protecting the wires is simple enough, but let's say we're running triple digits outside and this isn't cutting it. Well, this solar panel here generates about 5 volts of electricity. The typical PC fan will accept up to 12 volts of electricity, meaning that if you added another one of these exact solar panels on, you can double the actual power output and thus have the fan spinning faster, generating more air, keep you cooler when you're hitting 105 degrees, just as North Carolina will typically do for you. We are also living in a society that has no indoor air conditioning and no fan systems. Lots of buildings have windows. Windows allow heat to get inside. What happens when the interior temperature of a room gets to 80, 90 degrees and you can't use this because you're indoors? Well, in the event that you have any capacitors laying around, you can use those. If you connect capacitors to this solar panel and charge electricity while the product is in direct sunlight, the capacitors will store electricity. With the stored electricity, and you switch the switch on while you're indoors, you can now discharge that electricity, thus allowing you to use the fans when you're indoors for a limited amount of time. Now, it's debatable to believe that this is actual typical human nature. Since the beginning of our existence, we have always developed new technologies, and when we develop new technologies, we develop better technologies. When we develop better technologies, we develop even better technologies. And this trend has continued throughout all of our history, as you probably know by this point. It's arguable that this behavior is genetic and it's in our DNA. We're hardwired to constantly be thinking and evolving ideas and creating new products and bettering our ways of living. And as always, thanks for watching.